The second dysfunction that we identified was dishonor within the family. And y'all, I'm about to get hyped because when I tell you my study on this dysfunction is, I hope it blesses you as much as it blessed me when I was studying it. Okay, so the root issue is how we respond to another person's weakness, referring to Ham's response to Noah's weakness. I first want to do a modern parallel to what Ham did back in ancient Israel, but today's time. So the modern parallel of what Ham did is basically family gossip, public humiliation, betrayal, and this is a big one, social media exposure.
Blasting
people on social media. Let's give a concrete example. If you don't know, go find out. I'm pretty sure you can still find the posts, you can still find the videos, the magazine headlines, whatever we read now. Glorilla.
Yeah.
And that whole situation with her sister. Listen, I'm going to let y'all know now, I'm not on social media. So something big happens on social media, I'm not privy on the information. I go read articles about it.
Yeah, it's like if it comes up on
if it comes on a news article, or if it, if my coworkers make a comment, I go look it up. But I don't go to social media for my facts. I go to social articles and stuff. So I'm not really too privy on the story, but all I do know is that it was a hot mess. But Glorilla's sister allegedly came out with some stuff, basically accusing Glorilla of abandoning her. She basically it was giving like,
I think the whole family.
Yeah, it was just because it was Glorilla, the mom, and the dad on one side, and then the siblings on the other. And the siblings were accusing Glorilla of, becoming this big and famous rapper and achieving so much, and then neglecting them. Like, she made claims like, you ain't help us, and you ain't helping us. We down and out. You in that big mansion. We here and blah blah blah. And of course, since Glorilla is a public figure, this is all out on social media, and the sisters claiming all these things, making all these allegations, and then Glorilla responds, and her mom and her dad also responded. So now all their public businesses on social media, and everybody, of course, got their opinions on what side they own. And
yeah, it was amazing to me.
It was a lot. It was a lot. So that's a modern parallel of what Ham did. That's basically what Ham did. Okay, but he didn't have a whole group of people because the people just wiped out. He only had his two other brothers to tell.
Right.
But that's basically what happened there. And so my question to you, I'm very curious, is have you ever experienced that with your own family on social media? But if not social media exposure, what's your experience with family gossip, or the talk about the family gossip?
I'll say briefly, because I feel like the family gossip one is going to be more prominent for me. But I would say there was a moment earlier on in social media where family business was put on social media, and we were all like arguing. And this is not immediate family; this is extended family, so cousins, aunts, uncles, all of that. And then for the life of me, I can't even remember what about. For the life of me, I can't even remember what about. But I remember just going back and forth, you know what I'm saying, on social media, publicly. And I don't know what that's really about. I don't know if it's whether people want more justification. You want to try to get people on your side. Yeah. So you're trying to cast the net out wider. In hopes that if you are able to frame things a certain way, more people will be on your side. I don't really know the point now of why people are doing that publicly, because here's the thing. These people won't make or break your relationship. And I think ideally the issue is that you are at odds with somebody you love, and you either don't want to be, or you want to resolve the conflict. So what is it going to do you any good? And bringing back the Glorilla thing, if you truly thought that she was abandoning y'all, she wasn't helping y'all financially when she was in a position where she could do, so you thought that was gonna be the way that it gets resolved,
right?
You know what I'm saying? You thought that was gonna change it. It's again, it goes back to him. It's this shaming. It's the idea of shame. If I publicly shame you, that's gonna make you submissive. Or under my foot, put you under my foot. Ooh, that's essentially what the shame did with Adam and Eve. It put them under the foot of the enemy. Mm-hmm. He had them within his grasp with the shame that they felt. And so God immediately.
You just said put them under the foot. And what was the curse that God gave? He would bruise to Eve. That the snake's offspring would bruise the heel.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, and I think that is what shame does. And so maybe that was the whole purpose or focus with that shame. But what runs rampant in my family, and I'm sure a lot of families, is of course the gossip, spreading spreading business, and it gets ugly. We know what gossip does. It goes through the whole telephone game. The concept of the telephone game is that you start with one person, you give them the message verbatim, and their job is to pass it to the next. And that if you never play this telephone game, it is the most intriguing thing to this day. You start off with the verbatim message, and you give it to the first person, and they are supposed to repeat it to the next, and it's supposed to go around to however many people you got, and then they will ask the last person to repeat what they learned, and it would be complete every time. It never fails. It's completely different from what the first message starts off. So that's what gossip does, right? It may start with a piece of material context or whatever, but by the time it spreads through people and a family, it is morphed. It has become something completely different. It is so toxic. It is so harmful in such a way, and it is destroying families. And I can say that from my perspective, this is my perspective, because somebody will say something else different, and that is okay. They can have their own perspective. But from my perspective, this thing was so prominent in my family. I feel like it's essentially what destroyed the family connections.
Yes.
It destroyed the family connections because, again, I'm only speaking for me. I want no part of it. I'm so sick of it.
No, what came to mind, and tell me if you want to share or not. Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree that is the reason why we're not as close. I feel like we weren't close at all, to be honest. I think it was all a facade, but that's just me being the later generation and observing. But that is the main reason, because I remember a period of my childhood where like we would dread having big family gatherings because we knew the aftermath.
Yeah.
And we knew that somebody was going to say something, and then it was going to basically gossip was going to spread and get back, and then it's going to cause this whole conflict. And we didn't even care about the actual going to the event. We cared about the aftermath.
Because and that's the sad part about it, going to the events, one thing you knew for sure, just like you said, just like you knew and was dreading the aftermath, we knew a good time was going to be had. At the event. But then it started to get to the point where you had to weigh the advantage. Was it worth it?
Right.
Was going to be able to connect with people and have laughs and be together, was that worth the aftermath? And at some point for me, it just wasn't worth it anymore.
So I just wanted you to talk about, if you could, tell the audience about the chicken.
Oh.
The bags of chicken.
Oh my goodness.
If you want to, let me know.
Oh, it's just so silly. Like, I don't mind. It's just so silly. I don't mind. We had a death in the family. And just as, this stuff happens, the death had occurred, and a lot of the family wanted to go up to the hospital, right? And so naturally they did. And somehow, some way, I get left at my relative's house, not only with you, who was a baby, if you will, very young at the time, but I get left with all the other kids. And I'm not saying that negatively. I had no problem with that whatsoever, right? I was okay with that. But I'm there with a lot of people's kids.
And how old were you at the time?
How old was I? Clearly had to be in my 20s because you were young. So I had to be in my early 20s.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to speak as plain as you will, because I'm going to keep it real. So Autumn was essentially a toddler at best. I'm probably giving you too much age. I think you maybe were a toddler. And I'm, in my early 20s, and I was on food stamps. But I wasn't getting that much food stamps, right? Like, my food stamps was like how I fed my household. And so what had happened is that they were gone way longer than I anticipated. Like, this thing was going on for hours and hours and hours. I was starving. I knew you were hungry, right? And so, and I have all these other people, kids and things, and there was no stores. I didn't have a car, and there was no stores in walking distance. The only store that was in walking distance was 7-Eleven. Well, 7-Eleven sold food, if you will, but it would be very expensive for me to try to buy like Hot Pockets or what else they had? Pizza rolls, things like that 7-Eleven had. It would have been very expensive for the amount of kids that was there for me to try to take my food stamps and buy I would have probably spent my whole month's worth of food stamps trying to buy all of this stuff. And I knew that. And so I started like looking in the refrigerator and things and trying to see like what food was there, right? What food was there that I could cook. And so at this point, I had saw that there was a bag of frozen chicken, like party wings. And so I had instantly said, okay, I will buy that. And I'm just going to speak plain. But there was nothing else in this house. There was no sides. There was no grease to fry the chicken. There was no flour to put the chicken in. There was no hot sauce. Because you got it. Come on. If we going to fry some chicken, we need hot sauce. There was like none of these things. So I had already made up my mind, Dag, I'm going to have to buy these things from 7-Eleven. Again, not cheap, right? A bag of flour at 7-Eleven. First of all, they only had like the tiny bag of flour. And it was probably like 4 times the amount of a big bag of flour at the actual grocery store. And so, but I had already resolved myself to, I'm just going to have to buy. So I had decided I was going to buy some boxes of macaroni from 7-Eleven. Again, expensive. The hot sauce from 7-Eleven. I want to please keep in mind the time frame. They did have these. I don't know what's at 7-Eleven now, but they did have these things back in the day at 7-Eleven. And even the cooking grease. However, family started to roll back in. Family with cars. And so I was speaking to one relative in the kitchen, and I'm like, look, these kids have been here all day. I'm hungry. Told the whole spiel. I got some food stamps. I ain't got that much to buy that. So I was thinking I was going to cook that chicken, whatever. And so then this person tells me, that shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, go ahead and call and ask, my cousin if it was okay for me to cook the chicken. And so I did. I was like, is it okay if I cook that chicken? And mind you, because family is weird, there was already some type of weird vibe going on because another relative had arrived after that with a car. And as I was talking to the one relative about what my thoughts and my idea was to try to get everybody, and then they came and I go, I thought, okay, I can go to the grocery store now. I asked this relative, could they take me to the grocery store? Mind you, their kid
was one of the
children
that
who
was
there and who hadn't ate all day. Mm-hmm. And so they was like, nope. And again, I didn't know what that was about, if there was some pre-stuff going on, if like, I don't know what was happening, but people respond differently to death. So I will have grace with that. People respond differently to grief and things, but they were just like, nope. But glory to God, you about to make me get up and start shouting. I love the Lord. I love walking with the Lord and how that has developed me as a person, because guess what? I'm so aloof sometimes. Like, that rolled off of me so like butter. I didn't even get offended or anything. I didn't get upset about that or anything in the moment. Later, when I started thinking about the whole story, I just was very upset. But in the moment, I just was like, okay, well, that's okay. Back to the next plan to go to 7-Eleven and buy these things. But I had to ask the other cousin, was it okay for me to cook the chicken? And they said, so mind you, the house that we were at was the deceased relative house. Mm-hmm. And so I said, is it okay? And I asked the person who this was also their house, was it okay? And they mentioned that it was the deceased relative. And I should say, this death, even though death is never good, this was somebody that had been hospitalized for a while and was sick, and we knew ultimately and was told, right, medically what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to make it seem like this was a sudden death or an accident. And so I had asked, and they just kind of mentioned that it was the deceased person's chicken. But I could, if I wanted, but it's their chicken. And I'm like, well, I'm thinking about these kids, and I'm like, well, I have to cook it. So I do that, right? I walk down, I walk down to 7-Eleven. I get the stuff. I get the grease. I get the flour. I get the hot sauce. I get the boxes of macaroni. I come back and I'm cooking. More families piling in at this time. People looking. People hungry. The chicken begins to get fried. People wanted to start come and grab it. I remember I was like, let's just kind of feed the kids first and then see. And so that's what happens. No harm, no foul. The kids eat. All is well. So I thought.
Yes.
You know
this is what I was talking about with the aftermath when it came to our family. Like, this is the aftermath.
So I thought. And so the next day, I was absolutely, that's why Autumn had to ask me, like, this seems so silly talking about it now, but that's why Autumn was very respectful in asking me, can I talk about it? Because it's something that I used to get so emotional about, just reliving and crying because of the absurdity of it all. Mm-hmm. It was absurd. It was absolutely ridiculous. And so it was the next day that I began to get some calls from the family, and somehow I was a villain. How it ended up to that, I don't know. But I was a villain. And so I was essentially, I started receiving these calls. And of course, my mom is upset. And, my mom is telling me what is happening. April, did you know? And like what's being said about me. And I'm in shock. I'm really in shock. And I'm just absorbing it all. And I guess I'm trying to understand how it goes from that to what it did, like me being this villain. Basically, what was said was that how much of a horrible person I was because I cooked the chicken of the deceased person. And I can even see if I cooked it for myself and sat there and ate it myself. I could even see. What I didn't understand is like, so at no point are we going to address how everybody left me with them kids for hours with no food in their house, with nothing to eat, how I could have really been a villain and only bought me and my kids. By the way, my nieces and nephews were there as well amongst these kids with all these other kids. How cruel would it have been for me to take my child, my nieces and nephews, and only bought them some food and let these other kids be hungry? Like, but again, that's another story.
I was about to say, which was something they probably would
because that probably would have been a path. Of course, that would have been, so.
But that's a whole nother thing.
But anyways, I don't even want to get. But that was just so, and that was the whole tone. One day I may have to, really highlight, my response. But that was the rumors that was going around how much of a horrible person, and it split the family.
It did.
It split them because you had team April and you had team chicken. You know what I'm saying? And you had some people like the same way, the absurdity of it all. Mm-hmm. And then you had others like, you were so wrong for cooking that chicken and even asking her for that chicken. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. So I have to end this because I'm sure you guys are curious, and I feel like it's not one of my best moments.
What was your response? What was your ham moment?
My response, my response moment was this. So what I did is I didn't have a car, but my oldest sister had a car. And at this point, it had got around to them, and they heard the thing. And so I called my oldest sister, and I'm crying. I'm just so upset. I'm hollering and crying. And this is where I feel like I've always been like the youngest, but the oldest, like maturely, mental wise. But, and I've never felt really protected by my siblings, and not so much as always in a negative way. I just never needed protection in that way. Mm-hmm. Right. But when I tell you I felt so protected by my sisters, as I'm calling them, hollering and crying, and I'm telling them what to do. I'm like, this is the plan. This is the plan. Okay. And I'm like, I wanted her to come get me or my money, which I didn't have, to go replace the chicken. Okay. I'm like, go replace the chicken. And at first, both my sisters, they going off because they were together. And they just like, we not doing that. And they kids ate the chicken. And, they just like, just really giving y'all some family tea here. And they just like, we ate, they ate the chicken. You're not going to replace that chicken. And just, and they start naming everybody else that came into the kitchen and ate the chicken. There's so many people ate that chicken and you're not going to do it. And so they just going off, and I'm like screaming. I'm like, no. replace the chicken. It's just like so. And so finally my big sister agrees. And she like, okay. And she like, I'm just going to buy it. You just give me the money back. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, but listen to me. Listen. And she like, okay. And I'm like, you're going to buy them 2 bags. And of course my sister's like, I'm not buying them no 2 bags. You only cooked 1 bag. And y'all, the drama around this chicken was
about
epic.
This chicken
It was epic. And she like, you not buying them too? And I'm screaming. I'm like, please listen to me. You must buy them too. And we argue, and we laugh about this so hard to this day. When I tell you we be in tears, crying, me and my sisters, and they obviously they highlight like how I was just like, you ain't gotta be 2. It must be 2. And so she does. She concedes because I'm just like, you have to do this for me.
Yes.
And so she does it. And so she goes to buy 2 bags of chicken. She arrives at the home. And of course, there's still, there's extended family and stuff still there. And she drops off the 2 bags of chicken. And my sisters, listen. I love my sisters.
Yeah.
Because they embody what I don't have. I can have it. It comes out in me, but they just had my back in that moment, and they go drop off the chicken, and of course they come up in there with the chicken and with the balls, and they like her, and then they look and they see it's 2 bags of chicken, and my sister they storming back out of there, and so they go, it's 2 bags of chicken in here. She only cooked 1. My big sister was like, she said to give y'all 2.
So thank you for telling that story and being brave on
Yes.
here on Brave Conversations and sharing that, because 2 things popped to mind when I this is not the first time I've heard this story. Mm-hmm. It's really hilarious to me. I mean, it's shocking. It's not shocking as well, because again, I'm very observatory, or I have been since I was little when it comes to this family, and I was just watching things, and I made conclusions. So it's not shocking, actually, the conclusions I made about our family, but it's also shocking, like that it escalated to that degree.
Yeah.
But 2 things popped in my head as you were talking. One thing was that, like, again, I apologize. I look at life through the Bible. Jesus told us, if a person slaps you on the left cheek, then basically tell them to slap you on the right. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of reflected that scripture.
It did, but can I be
You decided
honest?
to give them 2.
I did, but
bags.
that wasn't where my heart was when I did it, and I want to highlight that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my heart, I think it was and it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was and it wasn't. So let me say that, because that did embody who I was, but that was me. If I have to be honest, yes, that did reflect the true generosity
that Jesus told us to reflect.
And a part of me did want to be that generous to clearly replace it. That was the first thought that I had, was to replace it. What ensued after was sheer pettiness. I'm just gonna be honest.
No, I'm glad you said that, because again, it goes back to a comment I made earlier in the episode, is that I take your experiences and I see it just reveals the Lord in it. Mm-hmm. Like, the Lord was truly your president for parenting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember that, so maybe I was that young to the point where that's not even a memory in my head.
You're very young, yeah.
But hearing that story just made me see the presence of the Lord over you. Even if you yourself didn't execute it properly, or didn't even have the wherewithal to even know that you were doing something biblical, that you were expressing biblical generosity. It's like the fact that you even had the idea to give to, even if it's through pettiness.
It had to be 2. It had to be two. Let me tell you right now. Let me tell you how I know it was pettiness, because when me and my sister was going back and forth and she was refusing to buy them too, then I had told her at one point, don't buy it then. I was about to catch the bus.
Wow.
Listen.
No, oh my goodness, this just popped in my head. So you know how Facebook it does like in memoriam of your post, like it tell you like on this day 2 years ago or 15 years ago you made this post. There's this one that keeps cycling every once in a while where I don't remember what made me post this on my Facebook. And remember, y'all, I'm not on social media, and during that time that this post was made, I was a teenager in high school. So like, of course I was on social media, but I tagged my mom and I said, the level of pettiness in you reaches high level.
Yeah, it's top notch.
I don't know what Teenage Autumn was referring to.
It's pristine.
But she saw it then.
It's pristine. What I said, I was in my early 20s then. You can only imagine the development of
I think I said pettiness is a sickness.
It is. And let me tell you something. The reason that, people, because everybody thinks about petty, that you may be thinking about petty in your own context. I have a very, I like to describe, I'm changed now. I like to describe the pettiness that I had as classy pettiness.
It is. I would agree.
It's very classy.
It's very classy, and that's why it's so subtle.
Yeah. It's subtle, but it
stings.
It stings real bad. Yeah, real bad.
And I just want to reiterate, because many people what popped in my head as I shared that with you about my post is probably some people, I'm gonna address y'all now, who are gonna probably be in the comments or probably thinking in their head, that's so disrespectful. Me and my mom have a banter. You just have to know our relationship. I wasn't coming from no disrespectful place, blasting her out on the internet. You so petty.
Yeah.
If you saw our thread of like when I was on social media and I would tag her and things, it's all jokes.
Yeah. And it's all inside jokes. I feel like somebody on the outside probably had no clue what you was referring to.
They probably thought I was coming like blasting you out on social media, but really it's just inside stuff.
Yeah, because when you sent it, I actually, my response was,
yeah, so you used to see the comments she left after. So yeah, it's all jokes. I wasn't coming from a disrespectful place. But yeah,
no.
I just want to say
you didn't have to explain. But I'm happy. Thank you for letting me, share that. I feel like it's necessary, but I feel like it also highlights
the power of family gossip.
The power of family gossip and the harm that it can cause. And like I said, even the division. The division was like you literally had a great divide.
Yeah. So let's go back to the story. And because this is where the Lord gave me a revelation that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life. And it's just going to intensify my interpretation of the word. So the big question I feel like people ask when they read Genesis 9 is they wonder, did Ham really deserve this response just for seeing his father's nakedness? Like, why was Ham's sin such a big deal? All right, let me tell you.
Yeah,
all right, bear with me now. I'm gonna try to have y'all travel with me so this all makes sense. So part of the reason we struggle is because, again, we are reading this story through a modern Western lens instead of the family structure that Moses assumed his audience, which is the Israelites, understood. Okay, so I'm going to do a comparison thing because I feel like a compare and contrast really helps people understand. So I'm going to compare an ancient Israelites family structure with the modern day Western family structure today. Two different things, by the way. So in ancient Israel, family wasn't just part of society. It was the foundation of the society. Society was organized around your extended family. Contrast with today, society is organized around the individual person. So your identity in ancient Israel, your identity wasn't primarily about you. It was about your family. You weren't just an individual making decisions, making your own choices. You belonged to an extended household, and everything you did reflected on that household.
Yeah.
So in today's time, we're taught to make decisions based on what's best for us as the individual. My career, my happiness, my goals, my future. If I moved across the country for a job opportunity, that is celebrated. Mm-hmm. Yes, do it. Even if it meant leaving my family behind.
Yeah.
That would be so strange to an ancient Israelite. They couldn't possibly think about doing that, because leaving your father's household like that would have been highly unusual. Your family wasn't just a part of your life, it was your life. So they would be confused on why you would want to separate yourself from the family when that's your life. Another big contrast is that ancient Israelite family structure was tribal versus today, where our structure is more personal. It has a personal identity to it. Today, when somebody asks you, who are you? How do you respond, typically?
Me?
Yes.
How
if
do
I ask
respond?
you, like, if you're on a job interview, the question is, so tell me about yourself. Who are you? What's the typical response you give to that person?
Ooh, it's different now because of my growth career-wise. So let's not even go into that.
Okay.
But no, the reason why I asked me is because you know how silly I am. I'm still like, I'm not sure. I'll let you know.
Yeah, okay.
You know, that's kind of my response. Like, but yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like, who are you? You do identify with like personal things.
Personal things, yes, correct. That's all I was trying to get to. So like, we typically answer with something like, for me, I would say, well, I'm from St. Louis. Mm-hmm. I'm a clinical research coordinator. I'm 25 years old. If you were younger, you would say, I'm a college student, or you would say, I'm a mother of 3, or something like that. It's very personal. An Israelite would answer in a completely different way. And you actually see this in scripture. When anytime they announce somebody or they're telling about somebody, they identified themselves through their family and their tribe. Yeah. They say, I am from the tribe of Levi, son of Aaron. And you see that all throughout the scriptures. And that's actually, tip for you Bible nerds, that's actually why Matthew puts a genealogy in his account of Jesus' life, because he understood his audience. He's writing to Israelites, and they identify with tribe identity. And he knew, the Israelites knew that the Messiah was going to be coming. He was going to be a son of David. What's the tribe? Sorry, y'all. You would think I would know what tribe the Lord's supposed to come from.